Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I also would like to thank our senators working with the White House to get these nominees through the committee. I appreciate that very much. Today, President Biden's going to the border. Former President Trump's going to the border. I think we all know why they're going to the border. The border is an absolute national security nightmare. Senator Cornyn's from Texas. He knows it probably better than anybody else, Senator Cruz. So just for a few minutes here, the bipartisan bill on the supplemental, the immigration bill, appreciate the effort, a lot of good things in it. We had one cloture vote, then we moved on to the aid package for Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan. What's been missing, Mr. Chairman, is a committee-driven process to try to find common ground to see if we can move the ball forward on a broken immigration system. In 2008, I believe it was, 13, I can't remember, I've been so many of these bills, the Gang of Eight, whenever that was, we had markup in committee, dozens, probably hundreds of amendments, a couple of weeks on the floor. I voted for the product, so did you. I stand behind that product, but the point is, we had a chance for this committee to kind of lead the Senate on immigration. We produced a product and went to the floor and it was amended heavily. I would recommend we try to do that. The president's current and former president are going to the border for a reason. On May 15th, 2023, the House passed H.R. 2. It's been over here with no action for a very long time. So I would urge you, Mr. Chairman, to take that bill or the Senate bipartisan bill or any bill you'd like, bring it to the committee and let's have a debate within the committee to see if we can pass something on immigration and send it to the floor and allow our colleagues to have a say so that we can kind of go back to the normal way of doing business in terms of trying to fix an immigration problem. And maybe the best example lately of why we need to do something is the death of Miss Laken, beautiful young lady at the University of Georgia who was killed jogging. And everyone is presumed innocent in this country until proven otherwise. But the person being charged with her horrible death came to this country illegally and was paroled. Now, again, that person's entitled to a fair trial. We'll see what the system in Georgia does. But we do know this. We do know the person who's been charged with that crime came over in 2022 illegally at the border and received parole. What I want is an analysis of his case. Here's the law. The DHS Secretary may, on a temporary basis, as conditions may warrant, on a case-by-case basis, parole people in the United States based on two factors: urgent humanitarian reason, significant public benefit. So the gentleman that was charged with his murder, he was paroled. Secretary Markup told me at an appropriations hearing, if I have his testimony, I'll enter it in the record, ask him, when somebody's paroled, is there an individual analysis required by law performed on each case? And he said yes. So what I want, and I hope the committee will back me up here, is an analysis in this case. What were the factors that led to him being paroled? Is there a written record? Is there an analysis that we can look at? I think you owe it, quite frankly, to the country. I wrote a letter to DHS that I will submit to the record. I'm expecting an answer. I think the family of Ms. Riley certainly deserves an answer. I think everybody in the country certainly deserves an answer. So our parole system was addressed in the bipartisan bill, but not in a way that was sufficient in my view. I, along with others, tried to make sure that DHS granted parole on a case-by-case basis with an individual analysis. Here's where we stand on parole in the Biden administration. $795,000 people paroled in FY22, 802,764 paroled in FY '23. In calendar year '23, I think it was 997,000 people. How does that compare with past presidents? During the Obama-Trump presidency, the average number of people paroled into the United States per year was 5,623. The average for President Biden is 795,561. What's going on here? The law is being ignored, is being abused. The bipartisan bill did not address this. There needs to be a mandate from Congress reinforcing to DHS, stop blanket parole of people from Venezuela, Cuba, and other countries. You're violating the law. There's a court case in Texas about this. So I'll introduce into the record my letter to Secretary Markup asking him about the information regarding the person charged with Ms. Riley's death. What were the factors considered to grant him parole in 2022? And I would urge this committee, after the visit by President Trump and Biden, current and former president, to take up some legislation as a base bill. It can be anything you would like, and see if the committee can find some common ground, report it to the floor of the Senate, and try to do something if we can. So, Mr. Chairman, the country is really in a crisis. There's enough fentanyl come across our border last year to kill everybody in the country. In the last 3 years, there's been enough fentanyl to come across our southern border to kill 5 billion people. There's been over 200 people come across the border on the terrorist watch list. The carnage related to a broken border is unbelievable. The leading cause of death of young people in this country is fentanyl poisoning coming across a broken southern border, mostly manufactured in China. I don't know how many people have to die. I don't know how much longer this has to go before we engage in a process that can get a result. I appreciate the bipartisan negotiations. It took months. It was done behind closed doors. It's now time to have an open debate about how to fix a broken immigration system to try to save some lives if we can, and show the country that we can work together to fix a problem that I think deserves a solution. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I hope you will join me in insisting that DHS, Secretary Markup, provide us information about why and how this individual was paroled. Thank you.
Let me say